Welcome to Momivate Conversations. Today we are so excited to have Rachel join us. I was kind of left in a lurch several months ago, losing my co-founder to Momivate. Her name was Leah, and she was awesome. She put 5 years into helping build Momivate, and then she felt called in other directions, and I just was at a loss and thought, what do I do? And
Mhm.
I turned it into a matter of prayer. That's just one of the ways that I work. And I really feel like Rachel is an answer to prayer. And I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, Rachel. So all that happened in Aprilish or May, losing Leah. And then come September, Rachel, who had learned about us from our convention, reached back out and was like, okay, I think this is a good time for me to be more involved with Momivate. So she has really
Mhm.
stepped up and does quite a bit. Her official title is Chair Mom of Volunteers. And so, as if any of you are listening and think, hey, I'd like to be a volunteer, then you will get oriented by Rachel to do that initial welcoming and helping you find how you will help. Um, so that's only part of Rachel's life, though, of course.
Yeah. Well,
um,
and I should say that I was also praying, looking for something more than just the usual mom stuff. And I felt inspired to get onto Just Serve, and that's how I found Momivate. And
wow.
then after summer and things calmed down, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to get back in, like was felt drawn back to Momivate and its mission.
Well, and you really have brought with you a great boost of hope that is invaluable. I know volunteers in general are invaluable just because they're donating their time, which is so precious.
Right.
But it also matters the attitude that you bring with you, and I have felt so supported by you all along, and I'm so grateful for that.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're feeling that because I'm trying, but as many things in life, you're like, I'm trying, but is it showing?
Right? Yeah, and that's motherhood, right? I'm
Right.
trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, speaking of motherhood, tell us a little bit about where you are in your stages of motherhood.
Yeah. So, I've been married for a little over 12 years. My husband and I met in college. We lived across the street from each other, and he lived in a house with there were 10 young men living in that house, and I had six living in my house of women. And a lot of marriages happened from those two houses. Just in the time that I lived there, there were three marriages, three
Oh
women
my,
from this and three men from that. So, yeah, it was a nice setup.
that's great.
So, yeah, we've been married for a little over 12 years. We have four kids. My oldest is a boy, and he is 10. And then I have an 8-year-old girl, a 5-year-old girl, and a two, almost 3-year-old girl. So, it's a different life phase than like the younger toddler baby phase because we are getting we are in like all of my three older kids all play soccer, and two of them are on a competitive league. My all my girls are in gymnastics. My three older ones all do the piano, and my son does guitar, and then there's also just
Wow.
little activities on top of that. So it's very hectic, and like I rely a lot on my planner and the calendar. And
Yes.
um, so that's kind of the phase I'm in, is we're not in the baby phase anymore, which is nice because that has a little bit more freedom and flexibility, like to volunteer with Momivate. But we're not in the teenager stage yet. So I like this phase that we're in. It's a fun phase with just new chapters and new adventures.
Yeah, that is exciting when they get old enough to sign up for piano lessons or things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, very cool. And I know you got to travel with the soccer the other day.
Yeah, we've gone a couple places. I mean, we mostly just go within Utah, but it's been really fun to see our kids like um just improve in that area. And soccer is like the one sport I can fully get into. Any other sport, I'm like, I'm gonna just go knit over here. Soccer draws
Right.
me in.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, it's a good pace of a game.
Hmm.
Very
Yep.
cool. All right. Well, how about besides Momivate, of course, what are some of your personal things? So a lot of times as moms, we describe ourselves in terms of our kids and what they're busy with. But
Right.
what about you? What kinds of things hobbies, we shall say, do you enjoy?
Yeah. I've always loved to bake. I especially love, I don't know if you've seen the show, The Great British Bake Off. But they have cookbooks, and I love buying those cookbooks and going through them because it's oftentimes different flavors, and I like that they use grams, so you can like have my kitchen scale. So I really enjoy baking, and just in the last year, I've started getting into sourdough, and like, that
Yeah.
is like a whole nother world of
It's a
baking.
big not time commitment as in it takes hours and hours, but you just have to remember over the
Yes.
course of several days that you're working on it. And
Yeah, and the women that taught me, they were so like they referred to like their sourdough starter in such an affectionate way, and I thought it was kind of odd. But now after I've like tried some different things to develop the flavor and stabilize it, I'm like, oh, grow. And so you do kind of like
it's its own living organism.
yeah, it's very odd, but it's been a fun thing to experiment with. Um, my husband and I love gardening. The house we bought it for the yard because the woman before us was an avid gardener. And
Wonderful.
um, so I love to take care of like flowers and plants and learn about them and how to care for them. And my husband's more the fruit and vegetable guy. But then we come together and we do quite a bit of canning, which I really enjoy. That makes me feel a little bit like a homesteader, but without lots of property.
Well,
Um,
and those are skills that are lost these days. Like it's
yeah,
so rare for people
I,
to know how to preserve food. So that's valuable.
it is. I mean, I don't go beyond the fruits and vegetables. I know people can like preserve meats, and that's just like that's a whole nother planet for me. So I just stick with the tomatoes and peaches and peppers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
There's comfort zones for things.
yes, absolutely. And then again in the last year, since my kids have gotten bigger, we've been able to get more into bike riding, which has been so much fun. And I have a cargo bike, and so I can fit all four of my kids on there. It's squishy. I usually just take my girls, and my son has his own bike, but so that's been really fun again to feel a little bit more separated from like the daily world of and like we just like to ride our bikes quite a bit. And
A
then in the
recreational thing.
yeah, in the winter we've just started getting into skiing, and that's been we really like to get outdoors and hike and just be outside whenever we can. So that's been new this year is the bike riding and the hiking. And like I said, that comes with having slightly older kids.
It does. Yeah, there are times and seasons in life.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, help us kind of dive in a little bit. We've got the big picture right now of those general things, but if we were like a fly on the wall and we were just watching you go through a day in your life, help us know what that looks like and maybe how you manage all those nitty gritty details. Like, what are some of your tips and tricks for keeping that? You mentioned your planner,
Yeah.
keeping that
Yes, I
going.
have it right here with me. I'm not going to show
Ooh,
it.
it's
There's
a
nothing they'll see in
visual
it. It's
aid.
always like it is always right next to me because it really helps a lot. Well, actually, maybe I will show. Okay, I'll open up a random week because I always start my day by going through my planner. Um, and
That grounds you, helps you know what's ahead.
yes, yeah. So let's see if I can find one that's not terribly messy. Okay, so I always start with this is like a to-do list for the entire week. So I don't feel like it has to get done today. This is a to-do list for the entire week.
Nice.
And then I like to have all my Momivate notes at the bottom here. So it's just one place and easy to see. And then on the back side is the day to day. It helps me keep track of, like I mentioned earlier, the swim lessons and piano lessons, and even my little 2, 3-year-old. She has play group once a week, and then we also have story time and just smaller things that are not necessarily like you got to make sure you're here. But if we
Yeah.
missed them, we would be sad.
Right, right.
So I always start my day with my planner, and then I didn't use schedules and systems very much when my kids were like under the age of 5 or 6 because they needed me there so much that like me writing anything down, it didn't do anything
It,
because
it was like an extra step instead
yeah,
of,
yeah,
you might as well spend that
and
time
it
doing the doing.
exactly, and it's so flexible. Like your kids are, you can say we're gonna get in the car. And it's like, well, you need to help all your kids find their shoes and you need to help like everyone make sure they go to the bathroom. And like you're so hands-on that having a schedule doesn't really do anything except add stress of like, we're not following the schedule.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I think that's a critical mindset point
yeah,
that you're bringing
letting
up
go and
is
just being like you said, motherhood has its own time. Like as much as what I can't say it. What's the right phrase?
times and seasons and the pace
The
of
pace. That's it.
motherhood.
The
Yeah,
pace motherhood allows. And just when they're so little that you're there with them, I think if you're adding that stress of like, this is what the calendar says, why aren't we doing it?
right.
It's going to add frustration for you and for your little kids.
I
So,
remember for me, a big thing was to have just mileposts, is what I called them. And generally speaking, they were meals.
yes,
So I
that's
would think,
exactly right.
okay, before breakfast, I would like to have these other things taken care of, like you mentioned, going to the bathroom or making sure they're all dressed or
Mhm.
whatever those things were. And you get a feel for that as the mom of, what needs to happen in that portion of the day. And then you do breakfast. So breakfast is like,
Right.
okay, we got those things done. Now eat. And what's going on before the snack? And
Yeah.
because that we always had to build in the snack. I had
Yes.
to philosophy that well-fed children are generally better behaved children.
Well,
So
and
I
same with the
was
mom too. Mom's happier if she has a snack.
that's right.
Well,
That's right.
and something that really helped me when I'm like I had like just little babies, that like their schedule was so unpredictable. Something that really helped me is I was like, I'm just gonna pick three things I want done today. And it's like I just want to make the bed, I want to have the dishes done, and I want to go to the park. Like so basic, but it was like it gave me some type of direction. So
Yeah.
even if I was spending an hour bouncing the baby, it's like that's okay. That's okay because we got to go to the park and like like trying to have some type of goal so you don't feel like you're at every whim of the baby. But anyway, just
Yeah, I think that's, yeah. And it's helpful, I think, for us to be willing to share how we had to kind of back up and let the baby be in charge, but still fit in what was important to us. Like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
get fresh air. I gotta get out of these four walls. That's
Exactly.
why I never liked that phrase, stay at home mom. It just
Yes.
sounded like this, order, stay at home.
Right,
And it,
right,
it sounds isolating and like you're not allowed to go to the park because you have to stay at home, or
right.
whatever.
Yes, yeah, it's not doesn't quite encapsulate everything that you need.
Mhm.
Anyway, so now in the present time, my kids usually wake up before me. And so I've created this list. I wonder if I can change my background. It seems like everything's kind of blurry. Let me see if I can change it real quick.
So you mentioned, well, just while you're doing that, you mentioned that your kids wake up before you. Do they let you sleep?
My husband's an early riser. So
Okay.
he
So,
is usually in like our home office
okay.
and they just go to work. I mean, not like I only get like 20 extra minutes,
Okay.
but what we do is so I just have this daily job chart and it's just on the fridge and they know what to do and they can work through it.
Okay,
Usually,
and it's even got cute little. I'm for the sake of people who are listening as opposed to looking.
sure, yeah.
It even has cute little
It does
illustrations.
have little pictures because I have a kindergartner, and so she can read little words like bed,
Mhm.
but the pictures do help her.
That's great.
And then I don't know what this is. I think this is meant to say go to school.
Okay.
But they
Somebody
started and they're
had
like, that's a hard word. So I think they just got to go to.
somewhere.
Yeah, so this is a chart that they can follow, and that's been really helpful instead of like me saying, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And I can just say, check your chart, and they go through their chart. So that starts our day off. Um, and then my my kids are really good at helping our 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old, get breakfast. Or if they're like, I let my older two use the like to cook eggs. They can cook eggs,
Nice.
but I don't let my younger two, obviously. And so if they help the other siblings, if they help each other get breakfast, they'll tell me in the morning and they'll say, I helped Madeline get breakfast, or I made Nora eggs. Then I'll explain this a little bit later. Then I just add a little, like add 50 cents to their day when they've
Oh,
extra, if they've helped out. Or like if I have my son babysit, I'll just say, I was gone for an hour, you get $1, that kind of thing. Um,
oh, nice.
so I'll explain that a little bit more. So once I get my kids off to school, my husband drives them off and drops them off on his way to work. And then I've noticed that if I can start, like if I go straight to my scripture study and that's when I do my planner as well, that really helps ground me in being like, okay, I've got my scripture study and I've done my prayer and I've planned out our day. Now we can go. And so then I just do the usual wipe down the kitchen, make the bed, do the normal pickup. And then we are off and doing um like gymnastics, or we're doing grocery shopping, or whatever is on the to-do list that we can get done that day, we try to squeeze in before lunch and nap time. So then we do our lunch and nap time, and um, you know, I the nap time, I would usually treat that as like this is my time to get stuff done. And I think if as a mom that helps you feel fulfilled, you should definitely do that. But only in the last like probably 3 or 4 years did I realize, you know what, this is my time to recharge my batteries in however way that is. And I shouldn't feel guilty about it. Because I've noticed if I am like cleaning through nap time, um, or doing something not fulfilling for me, I just feel like I'm constantly playing catch up the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So that hour can be whatever I need it to be. And that really helps me recharge. She's going out of her naps, as I've told you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that
But
is the phases of motherhood again, of where we just have to be willing to swerve with the curves.
that's exactly right. That's a good saying.
Transitions.
Yeah. And so she's kind of transitioning to doing like a quiet time, and it's only about 30 minutes, but now those 30 minutes are even more precious of
Right.
like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna go lay down and rest my eyes. And I usually give her a puzzle or blocks or some type of quiet thing that will maybe keep her entertained, but most of the time it doesn't. And she just kind of sits in her room and tears the blankets off her bed. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah. We
Um,
called that alone time when it wasn't naps anymore, but mommy still needed alone time. And I
yeah,
tried really hard to present it as like, this is such a gift. And aren't you so lucky that you get time alone and you
yeah,
don't have to share during this time? Or, like I tried to,
you do whatever you want.
or if there was a certain kind of implemented toy that they would really be excited about, then now is the time for that toy, or
You know what is so I live in Orem, and Orem has this amazing program called PERK. Have you heard of this program?
mm-mm.
So it stands for Parent Educational Resource Center, and they have like they have puzzles and like a lot of like the Montessori toys.
Okay.
like wooden toys, musical instruments, flashcards, games, like any type of semi-educational, like even
Right.
non-educational, like they have like a puppet theater. Anyway, it's all free. And you can come and check out 6 items for free.
Kind of like a library of toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, I like it.
And so that is such a great way to like switch out my quiet time activities. And
Yeah.
it's also a great way, like leading up to Christmas. I'm like, I think you'd really like a toy similar to this. Get it and try it out. It's like, nope, never mind. You didn't touch
I
it.
didn't like that.
Anyway, so if you live in Utah County, I would definitely check out the Orem Library Perk because it's fantastic. And like during COVID, getting like homeschool activities and homeschool like math especially, they have a ton of math resources. Anyway, so that's my plug for Perk.
Yeah. Wow, I'm glad you brought that up. Sounds
Yeah.
like a great tool.
So then about this time my kids are getting home from school and I let them come home and they have 30 minutes of screen time to decompress.
Oh,
And before it was just like, go find a screen, I don't care. But my son was like always getting to the TV first. Surprise, surprise. And it was like, oh, you were on the TV yesterday, and I wanted the tablet, and da da da. So again, I'm not very computer savvy, but I have a laminator and markers and craft paper, and so that's what I do.
nice. There you
So
go.
this is just a simple little wheel, but it has been so effective of
Great.
like TV, computer, and I have a floater and then the tablet. So they have to learn how to share. Anyway, so every day they just spin it one time and then whatever you're on, you're on. And
There
that
you go. Tell me
really,
what floater means. They just go be with somebody
they
else
just
who's
have to
on
find a screen. They just,
the
and like growing up, I think that's kind of lost in nowadays. It's like my show's on at 3:30, but now
yeah.
it's like you can watch whatever show you want anytime.
Even
And
at 3:30 in the morning, unfortunately.
yes, yes. And I remember my sister's 6 years older than me, but like she would love to watch Boys Meet World. And I'm like, I don't, so she's 15 and I'm 9. I'm like, I could care less. But
Right.
it was on and I had to watch it with her. So that's a little bit of the floater is my son is like when he's on TV and the floater is a girl, she's like, he's watching football again. Like, well, that's what's on.
Yeah.
So this little spinny thing has been really helpful to decrease fighting with over screen.
Yeah, I should take a minute again because we have so many listeners who listen to the podcast as opposed to being able to
Oh,
watch.
yes, yes.
It's like a set of two circles, and the outer circle has the different options for screens. She's got, as she mentioned, computer, TV,
TV,
tablet, and
tablet, and
floater.
floater.
And then the inner circle, which is attached by a brad.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
right.
that's the name of that. It allows that inner circle to spin, and that's where her kids' names are. So it can kind of wheel itself around to show
Yep.
who's on which device. So that's very cool.
Yeah. And so then after their 30 minutes, they get a 30-minute snack and whatever break time. And then at 3:30, we're like, hey, we're done. We're moving on. And this is your time to get your jobs done. And so this goes back to the daily job chart where most of the time their school starts at 8 a.m. So they rarely get to any of these things. Um,
Okay.
so then we go back to the job chart, which I'll read through. It says, clean up your room, make your bed, brush your teeth, clean up what's yours. That means like they have to look around the kitchen and living room and pick up their socks and backpack and that kind of thing.
No.
They practice their piano. And then homework is actually something I save for after dinner time, so that my husband's here so we can tag team that.
Nice.
So I do give my kids an allowance, and it used to be a set figure. Um, but it was getting really frustrating because I felt like they either they wouldn't do their jobs, which was fine. Like they were playing. They were playing with their siblings, and I would rather encourage that than like, get your jobs done now. So if they're
Mhm.
happily playing, I just want to leave it alone. But at the same time, like, but I am paying you for this. Um, and and then also like sometimes this rarely happens with my son. but oftentimes my girls are like, I decluttered my entire closet and I organized my dresser. And so I wanted to reward them for that extra effort. And so they each have their own chart with their name on it, and it's printed out each month. And so it's a calendar, and they can get a 1, 2, or 3. If they get a 2, it's like you did your jobs at the level I expect you to. If it's a 1, it's like you made your bed, you cleaned up some of your clothes, but it's not great. And then a 0 is if they just didn't do their jobs at all, which happens sometimes and it's fine. And then the 3 is if they went above and beyond and really cleaned their room or really organized an area in their space. And then at the end of the week, I total up all their points, 1 through 2 or 3, and times it by 0.25. So they get a quarter for every point they get, and then
Nice.
how much money they get in the week. So it's usually about $3. On Saturday, they do extra jobs, and so they get extra points there. They
Nice.
also get extra money, like 50 cents because you helped your sister get breakfast that day, $1 because you babysat for me that day. And then I add that into their total.
Nice.
This has really helped my kids learn accountability
Yeah.
and that the job you put in is the job you're going to get paid for.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
really
There
enjoying
is a
it.
necessary connection there, right? Of helping them
Right.
see that effort and money go together.
Yeah, because I'm hoping this is, we don't really have paper routes or other options for kids this age to get job exposure.
Mhm.
But I'm hoping that this teaches them the job you put in is the money you're going to get for it. And that means, hey, I wanted to play with my siblings rather than do my jobs. And it's like, that's fine. But then at the end of the week, when you only get $1.50, like you
Yeah.
can look back and say, oh, that's right. Like, and kind of try to make that decision now. And I also think that giving your kids an allowance, it's helpful for my kids because they can save up for things and they can also um, like have that pride of, hey, look, I have $5. I can actually buy that stuffy I want. So
Yeah,
that's
and I'm at the store with the child and they say, "Hey, can I have that candy bar?" I can say, "Oh, if you have money for it, then
mhm.
yes." And so I'm not just saying no all the time. Because of
Yes.
course, if it was based on my money, I would say no.
Yeah,
But instead
exactly.
I can, I can leave it up to them and I can throw in a little something like,
Right.
sure to eat it after dinner or something, but they're
Right.
the one deciding whether or not that's how they want to spend their money.
Yeah, 100%. And my older two are starting to see like when it comes to birthdays and um Christmas, like I'm like, okay, I'll help you pay this much. But now they can be more generous with their giving
Nice.
because they have their own money to throw in the pot. So after they do their jobs and their yeah, so after they do their daily jobs, including piano, then they can choose to either um, have 30 minutes more of screen time or they can go play with a friend. And um, again, at this stage, for me in my day, I usually try to do laundry during this time, or this is when a lot of activities, driving around to a lot of different activities.
Or yeah, prepping for dinner, all of that. So
Sorry. Um, yeah, just 1 minute as we
we have a toddler entering the show.
Yeah.
Maddie. This is motherhood in action. We
It
like
is. Here you go. A little sneak peek.
Momivate. It's all new.
Wanna do this one? Okay.
We are close to the end of our time. So
Hey, I just want to share two more
bits.
things. Here, do you want to
Yes,
sit with me? Do you want to come
we
sit?
love what you're sharing. So it's
Let's
hard
go
to
say hi to
stop.
Reagan. Oops.
So beautiful. Hi, I'm so sorry to see the sad face. Can we turn you upside down and get that smile instead of a frown?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. And I lost the screen. I know. Let's see if we can fix it, okay? Okay. Give me just one moment.
Sure. All right. And while she's off for a minute, we will just give a little plug for Momivate and the programs that we run outside of the podcast. One of our most famous programs is the Revolving Closet. We actually have several locations, both in Utah County and Salt Lake County. And we even have a mom in St. George who's been running her closet there for quite a while. Her name is Celestial down in St. George, and you can find our revolving closets on our website and see all the different locations. Our website is momivate.org. Momivate is Momivate. So it's like the word motivate, but with an M in the middle. We really like wordplay here at Momivate. All right. Rachel,
Sorry. So sorry
I
about that
did
interruption.
a little commercial for our revolving closet.
I heard it was great. Okay, I'm almost through my day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have like I found it easier to plan all of my meals out in the entire month at one time.
Wow.
And and it's also easier if each day has a theme because then you can just like work through, okay, Mondays, we always do some type of non-meat option because usually Sundays are
Mondays.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we love breakfast. So we usually do some type of breakfast, pancake, waffles, scrambled eggs on Mondays. And then Tuesdays are usually our Mexican night. And anyway, so there's all the days have kind of a theme to it. And so it's easier just going through. And I tried doing something like this several years ago and it just didn't work for me. I don't know. It didn't work for me. So if
And
you,
there are that does change too, just like our
yeah,
children are changing, and we need to give ourselves that flexibility to be able to change according to our different times and frames and things. So
yeah, and I think if you've tried any type of schedule or routine and it's like that didn't work, like don't throw it out. Have it in your back pocket because there might be a time when it does come back and be helpful. So I save my calendars. I save the ones I write in, and that's really helpful. So when I'm stuck trying to figure out a meal, I can pull out one of the old calendars and fill in the next month. And it's also nice because it helps me remember like old recipes, like, oh, that was a really good one. And especially when seasons change and you kind of have to switch, you're like, okay, we're going into winter, we need more soups. Okay, now we're going into summer. It'd be nice to have more crock pot meals or grilled meals. And so I've really enjoyed this type of meal planning.
cool.
And then our last one is when so we do homework after dinner and we do the bedtime routine. And since our kids' school does start so early, we have to get everything ready the night before. So then we have our nighttime routine.
Oh, good.
And so the nighttime routine is clothes set out for tomorrow. All of my kids share rooms. And so it's nice if their clothes are already set out. So if they wake up, they can already start getting ready. Or if that child for some reason if their roommate is not going to school, it's nice to be like, well, you don't have to go back in there. Like, if
Right.
you're sick or whatever. And they set out their shoes and socks. They are in charge of packing their own lunch. Obviously, my husband and I will help when we can, but they're all old enough they can pack their own lunch. Their homework done and in their backpack, and then they know where their backpack and jacket are. So if they have all those things set out and ready, then that's their nighttime routine, and then the rest of the night is theirs.
Very nice. Thinking ahead about the next day.
Yeah, I mean that's the plan, but it definitely doesn't go that way all
Right.
the time.
Not every time, anyways.
Yep.
Well, great. Well, I am so glad that we listened to all your different tips and tricks. And I think it's so valuable to hear how life works in another mom's household. And I just want to end by inviting other moms to be willing to come on and share what works for you and how you've been inspired by other mothers. And yeah, go to our website and sign up. We all need to support each other and be part of the community, or we like to say MomUnity. So we're more united as moms. Thank you.